Released in 1985, The Head on the Door is The Cure's sixth studio album. It marked a turning point not only in the band's stylistic evolution, but also in their mainstream accessibility, fusing post-punk gloom with vivid pop experimentation. After years defined by dark, atmospheric records like 17 Seconds, Faith and Pornography, The Cure nearly disbanded due to exhaustion and internal strife. By 1985, Robert Smith forged a new lineup, featuring the returning Simon Gallup on bass, Paul Thompson on guitar and keyboards, Boris Williams on drums, and Lol Tolhurst retasked the keyboards. This lineup represented a creative renaissance, with Smith describing the period as feeling totally liberated. The deliberate switch from spectral gloom to brisk melodic pop was both cathartic and career redefining. The songs for the album were worked on extensively at the demo stage, first at Smith's flat, and then later on at a rehearsal space. They then moved to Angel Studios in Islington to begin the recording proper with co-producer Dave Allen. Having refined each track's arrangement, it allowed the band to focus on layering and orchestration rather than laborious basic takes. The mood in the studio was light and collaborative, with each band member contributing creatively to the final arrangements, with Smith welcoming input for guitar textures, drum work and keyboard atmospherics. Smith was reportedly inspired by Susie and the Banshees' Kaleidoscope and the Human League's Dare in seeking maximal stylistic diversity on one record. The flamenco-style guitar in The Blood stands out as a good example of Smith's experimentation. He learned the style specifically for the track, using fingerpicking and modal runs evocative of Spanish folk. The eerie Kyoto song utilized exotic scales to conjure an Eastern feel, further augmented by new synth patches and percussive effects. One of the standout tracks, an inevitable single from the album, was In Between Days. The layered rhythmical acoustic guitar propels the song's infectious melody perfectly. You can see the band in the process of recording the guitar layers here, a great insight in a rare bit of studio footage of the band. The song finally introduced them stateside, with it being played on heavy rotation on college radio. Another standout single, Close to Me, marked a pivotal moment in the band's evolution. The song's minimalist, claustrophobic vibe, driven by a tight bass line and restrained percussion, showcased a new emotional intensity and atmospheric subtlety that distinguished it from their earlier, more gothic sound. Its distinctive blend of pop sensibility with dark undertones helped broaden The Cure's appeal beyond niche audiences, foreshadowing their eventual mainstream breakthrough. The vocal recording was performed with a dynamic mic, with Smith singing as close as possible, attaining that almost ASMR quality to it. They were using samplers on the album, which were the Emulator 2 and Ensoniq Mirage, and the synthesizers included the Selena String Ensemble and the Yamaha DX7. The DX7, a hallmark of mid-80s synthesis, was used throughout, notably on Kyoto's song, making use of the Koto preset, which gave the track its distinctive percussive shimmer. The DX7 also contributed bell tones, plucked textures, and synthetic strings across the album's more atmospheric parts. Other keyboards in use included the Roland JX3P and Juno 60, which had been part of the band's live and studio setup since the top. Robert said of the Emulator 2, Ensoniq Mirage and DX7, "I had these in my flat, and every day I'd find a new sound, a new voice. Songs like Close to Me and 6 Different Ways almost seemed to happen without me." Smith and Paul Thompson were always keen on employing the Selena String Ensemble, a synth that became a thread throughout the band's career, giving them a sonic identity throughout the years. Push and Sinkin still retain the flavour of earlier records, whereas Close to Me provides a distinct departure from the atmosphere dominated by chorused electric guitars. The guitars Robert was using at the time were similar to earlier records, with the Fender Bass 6 being used as a regular electric guitar. This can be heard notably playing the solo in Between Days. The Boss BF2 flanger and Boss CE3 chorus were important elements in his setup also. His Fender Jazzmaster with added Teisco middle pickup was also in use throughout the record. The acoustic guitar is very prominent on the album, and there may have been different ones used, but the Ibanez AE300 was used on In Between Days by Smith. This Japanese-made guitar is fairly inexpensive with laminated back and sides. This layered acoustic part propels the song's infectious melody perfectly. Smith said, realizing I'd outgrown a lot of my musical prejudices was a big part of the change. Up until then, I'd always thought of the acoustic guitar as a bit of a hippie instrument, not really something The Cure should use, but now I was determined to explore every possibility. Simon Gallup's return to the band after a near 3-year hiatus was an important part of the sonic puzzle. He'd left the band back in '82 after a bust-up with Smith that actually involved a physical fight, and apparently it was all over a disputed bar tab. They didn't speak to each other for 18 months, but they gradually reconciled over time, and when Phil Thornalley left, Robert naturally felt it was time to rekindle the chemistry they'd enjoyed previously, with Simon then going on to stay with the band ever since, minus a quick break in 2021. He seems to have been playing a few different basses around this time: the Fender Precision, which he'd used for some years previously, a Music Man Stingray, Gibson Firebird and EB2, an Ampeg SVT head paired with 8x10 cabinets were his amp of choice, with chorus, flanger and occasional delay and overdrive being used to complement his sound. Boris Williams' arrival marked The Cure's first studio album with their new powerhouse drummer. Williams had officially joined after touring with them, having previously drummed with the Thompson Twins. His style dramatically strengthened the band's sound, laying down the commanding rhythms that defined their later hits through the late 1980s and early 1990s. Williams opens the record with a thunderous fill leading into In Between Days, and his nuanced accents and rhythmic variations notably enhance the song's presence. While Smith shaped the vision, Williams powered its momentum. Smith sums it up saying, "I was having so much fun playing with a drummer who was so natural and imaginative. The freshness of a new driving force, plus the reconciliation with Gallup, seemed to create the atmosphere that suited the record." Smith remembers, "We played pool a lot and had fun. The atmosphere was stupid, almost childish, and we were in a hurry to get back in the studio every day. With Simon, the excitement came back and the band was more aggressive, more vital. He knew me so well that I didn't really have to explain anything to him. We drank a lot more than on any other recording sessions, but this time we didn't take any drugs." The Cure felt like it started all again at this point. I had a sense of being in a proper band for the first time since Pornography. It was really exciting, and I wanted to make pop music that captured this excitement. I wanted everything to be bright and catchy and new. Musically, it can appear to reflect this lighter approach, but Smith's lyrics are not exactly straight from the classic pop song writing textbook, Smith said. It does have a dark side. Sinking, The Baby Screams, A Night Like This. These are not lyrically happy songs, and Close to Me is pretty much wishing I wasn't born with a groovy bass line. I was trying to create a sort of attractive tension by marrying slightly bitter words to really sweet tunes. The Head on the Door was released in August 1985 and was universally praised, with the British weekly paper Melody Maker making it their album of the year. It went into the top 20 in many countries and broke the Billboard Top 100 in the US. It stands as a testament to The Cure's inventive spirit, a record that balanced pop hooks with brooding sophistication and maximised its stylistic and instrumental reach without sacrificing emotional lyrical depth. The innovative arrangements and instrumentation, coupled with a lighter family atmosphere in the studio, have left an enduring legacy, ensuring its place as a classic in alternative music. If you'd like to see more videos about the recording process involved in creating these classic albums, then you can support this channel by using my affiliate links in the description. This is a great way to do it, as you don't have to pay a thing, and I get a small percentage if you buy anything. Thank you in advance for your help.